electrification of rural America. Not so long ago, this magic force, electricity, was available to city people and city people alone. Yes, as recently as 1935, 9 out of 10 farmers were without electricity. Many of them, along with lots of other rural people, had given up hope of getting it in their lifetime. But they did get it, and about 97 out of every 100 farms have it now. How did this happen? Well, more than half of them got it from electric systems, which they built with money borrowed from the Rural Electrification Administration, REA. There's quite a story behind those early days when REA was first put on the job by the President and the Congress. A human, personal story that happened in many places all over the country. Let's meet some of the people who are familiar with this great American story. Miss Sarah Lee Pruitt, poultry woman. Dan Walker, dairyman. Ernie Thomas, manager of an electric cooperative. Ed Barnes, co-op lineman. Al Hansen, rural mailman. Yes, they all share in the REA story. This meter is measuring kilowatt hours. That might mean more if you know exactly what a kilowatt hour can do. It can run a TV set for 3 hours, a washing machine for nearly 4 hours, and a clock for 20 days. What the average farm worker can do in a working day, an electric motor can do in a matter of minutes. Life in rural America has not only been changed by cheap electricity, it's been revolutionized. Let's see how electricity has changed life for a farm family in the South. Miss Sarah Lee Pruitt and her brother Gary are in business together raising laying hens. But Sarah Lee remembers those days before rural electrification came along, those drab, colorless days.
I sure do remember. I was much younger then, of course, just a mere child. Some of the kids around us had to quit school too early, including my brother and me. We were needed here on the farm. What good was education when there didn't seem to be any hope for a better life? And I remember Dad trying to raise corn and cotton to make a living for us. Mother's chores began at sunup. She had a lot of mouths to feed. And what did we eat? In winter, grits, salt pork, and whatever we had been able to can ourselves. In summer, there was hardly any meat at all. Wouldn't keep without a refrigerator. When the weather turned cold, the only way we had to keep warm was by the wood range. But when the temperature climbed to 102, is it surprising we call those things sad irons? In fact, life in general was pretty sad. And then, one day, wonder of wonders, it happened. Magic. Magic from nowhere and everywhere. The magic of electricity. Light whenever we needed it, day or night. Our neighbor, George Andre, could hardly wait till he had his lights. And even Dad himself couldn't quite believe the miracle. And then he let Mother have the thrill of turning on the lights herself. All that power, right at the touch of our fingertips. And music. Music all the way from Atlantic City. When Mother first got her new electric iron, she was a little suspicious of it. But it didn't take long before she couldn't do without it. My cousin, Louise Pruitt, didn't quite trust her electric range either. Not until her cornbread took the blue ribbon at the county fair. For the first few days, Miss Phelps left the light burning day and night, just to convince herself that electricity had really come. Joe Kelly, dear soul, kept all the sockets full, scared the electricity would leak out. But he caught on. And little by little, we all did. Caught on to the many different things electricity could do. Running water, right in our own home. Even Niagara Falls never looked so pretty. Wasn't long after that when lots of us kids could go back to school. Good light made studying easier. And having water indoors meant that we didn't have to run outdoors on bad days. So we had fewer colds. Our attendance records got better. And so did our grades. For a change, we were really proud to bring our report cards home to the folks. When our church got its lights, people seemed to come more often. And you know what? The singing was better too. Guess folks could finally make out the words. It was electricity that put my brother Gary and me into the poultry business. Today, thanks to new electrical inventions, we are able to water and feed larger and larger flocks. Electricity weighs out the feed, blends it, and literally serves it to the chickens. In the short days of winter, an electric light fools the hens into thinking it's still daytime, so they keep right on laying. But that isn't all. Just look at some of the other things that electricity does for us. Electricity keeps hens comfortable, and a contented hen cooperates. Electricity cleans, candles, grades. And it keeps eggs cool. Yes, between Gary and me, we look after 8,000 hens. Just the two of us. And they lay almost 500 dozen eggs a day. That means deliveries almost every day. And money in the bank. But surely Gary and I aren't the only ones who have profited in Rainbow County. Take Charlie Holmes. Holds a responsible position in town, and on his farm turns out 10,000 broilers at a clip, 4 times a year. Yes, Wherever I go, I see a lot of changes in Rainbow County. Our electric cooperative has the biggest payroll in these parts. And even though folks here in town don't get their electricity from the co-op, it's still done a lot for them. It's created an entirely new farmer market for any number of things. Things the farmer has come to use only since his farm became electrified. Food freezers, hot and cold running water, electric heating throughout the house, and an electric blanket in every bedroom. As for myself, I'm happy for what I see around me. A comfortable home with all electric conveniences. Time of my own to take things a little easy. And a young niece who actually thinks an electric dishwasher is fun. Washing dishes certainly wasn't fun when I was that age.
Now let's go to Adams County in the Midwest for another part of our story.
I'm Dan Walker, member of the Adams Electric Cooperative. This is my part of the story. And this is my dairy farm in the Midwest. It's modern, it's efficient, it's electric. Electricity also does the cleaning for us better and faster than we could do it ourselves. Couple of hours and the whole job's done for the morning. Now I'm going to take care of one of the easiest chores of them all. Today's the day to read the meter. Ever hear of a customer figuring his own bill? Well, that's the point. We don't consider ourselves customers. No, we're all member owners of our cooperative. Uncle Sam loaned us the money to build it, but we're paying him back with interest. So you see, I don't think of this thing as a bill. It's a paycheck. A paycheck for the best worker I could hire, electricity. Yes, the way we look at it, electricity works for us like a hired hand. No, not until electricity came along, or should I say REA, did we know what we were missing around these parts.
And I'm Al Hansen, mailman on this route for nearly 41 years. In that time, I've seen more changes around here than I can count. What's brought them about? For my money, it's been these paved roads and the coming of electricity. Well, look who's home for Thanksgiving. Bert Shannon, a senior at Agricultural Engineering School. When he graduates, he'll be back to help run the Shannon farm. Nowadays, lots of kids are staying on the farm. Wasn't that way before electricity. Here on the Ferguson farm, an air conditioner being delivered. Joe's trucks are plenty busy these days, delivering one electric thing after another. Doc Williams, he set up business out here because he could get electric and telephone service. He's a real country doctor, and we're sure glad we got him. Before Paul Jarnigan built this dress factory, he made sure that he could get all the power he needed. If you ask me, they turn out some mighty nice-looking styles here. I know my daughter sure likes to wear them. Let me tell you, we're mighty grateful for all the jobs his factory's given us. Seems like everywhere I look in Adams County, I see another new home. That population explosion they keep talking about is sure in evidence around here. They say in the past 10 years, demand for power's doubled. And I understand before long, it's going to double again. Our co-op has sure got a job cut out for it.
Let's go farther west for another chapter in the REA story.
Ernie Thomas is my name. I manage an electric cooperative here in Montana. Surprised I'm doing my job at the controls of a plane? Well, it's all in a day's work. Today, for instance, I've got to fly over 500 miles to discuss business with a member of our co-op. In this country, flying is the easiest way to visit our members. The territory we serve is that spread out. On the way, I patrol our lines, on the lookout for anything that might cause us trouble later on. We call this preventive maintenance. Yes, there are nearly 3,000 miles of power lines down there. Our co-op furnishes power to even the most isolated rancher, and at reasonable rates. This is what REA calls area coverage. And nearly all co-ops in every part of the country have achieved it. That's the Peterson wheat farm up ahead. Bill and his family use close to 800 kilowatt hours a month, every month. As town residents, the Petersons wouldn't use nearly half that much. You see, in operating their farm, they use a lot of electricity. When one of Bill's machines breaks down, he can't afford to wait around for parts or a repairman. So, he and Bill Jr. are do-it-yourself men. They have to be self-reliant. And they're mighty proud of their complete service shop, right on their farm. Several miles to the north in cattle country lives their good neighbor, Ted Forrester. Ted's a prosperous cattleman, and he's pretty independent too. Independent of everything, that is, except electricity. Electric motors pump water for his cattle. While electric heaters keep it from freezing. Labor and time-saving devices like these, every one of them run by electricity, sure take the drudgery out of cattle feeding on Ted Forrester's farm. And that electric infrared heat is good for raising healthy pigs, too. We're farther along now, approaching sheep country. Most of them, by the way, were brooded by infrared lamps, and they're sheared by electricity as well.
Down there's the Indian reservation. They're putting up a new school. Yes, cooperative power is making it possible to expand these important educational facilities out here. You know, come summer, and this will be dry country, so water conservation is a must. That reservoir stores water till spring, and then many of our members use irrigation systems, electrically powered, to help grow their crops. Now there's an oil refinery, a good example of how our co-op serves industry, different industries. I'm especially proud of the part our co-op plays in the national defense system. We are one of several who supply electrical energy to these strategic remote warning outposts. And now for the business at hand. My appointment on the ranch of one of our members, Hal Murray. As I pointed out earlier, Hal's ranch is located in one of the outlying counties, over 500 miles away from the cooperative office. And I don't believe that any member uses more power than Hal does. In fact, he and his family consume about as much electricity as 4 average city families. Now, Hal wants even more, so that he can hook up some new electrical equipment he's just bought. And he'll get it. Yes, our way of life has certainly become dependent upon electricity. So you can readily understand how helpless we can be.
And here's the latest bulletin on the storm closing in on our area. Heavy snows continue to move across the border, accompanied by gales up to 70 miles an hour. The storm is expected to inflict more statewide damage than the severe blizzard of 7 years ago. A power failure has been reported directly north of the city. Stand by for the next bulletin.
A power failure, or outage as we call it, rarely happens because our lines are engineered to withstand the rugged weather in this part of the country. But when we do have an outage, we're out of business. The two-way radios dispatch our crews to a troubled area in no time flat. How you fellas coming out there? I see. You figure you'll be through by 2 o'clock anyway? Okay, fine, Ed. You give us a call if you need anything. Our crews go to work in a hurry. In fact, even before the news breaks over the air, we're on the job. It's a tough job and a dangerous one. But our men are well trained and know how to handle it. Then, just as suddenly,
back in business again. Well, that's pretty much what it's like these days in Montana. If you get the idea that we think REA and area coverage are the most important things that ever hit our state, you're right.
You haven't seen the whole story of rural electrification, and the reason is simple. The end isn't in sight. Countless chapters, such as these, remain to be written, and they will be. They will be because electrified rural America has a future ahead of it. A big, bright, beautiful future.